This is a great song. It's very, very intense. Tense, 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 tense.
Hello, everyone. This is a very late episode. Apologies for that, but this is Matt editing this latest episode of Kino Therapy, and I just wanted to tell you we did a segment. It's my segment where I talk about music. Unfortunately, I feel like due to the copyright rules here on YouTube, I wanted to refrain from putting in all the music that I mention in this episode. So instead, I'm going to have linked down in the description or wherever uh, a list or playlist that people can go to and listen along with the music that I mention in this episode. So, and any other videos just down there in the description. All right, on with the episode.
Now we don't have the Oscars to talk about.
We find
So
out
we're
an
not
episode,
talking about it.
We
No.
find out an episode where we don't talk about the Oscars.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Are we talking about movies though?
In
Yes.
some capacity.
With a little hint of music tonight, so we'll be a little musical inclined.
Yes, yes.
Hope everybody's doing well. Spring is near, or it is here actually.
Yes,
I
it
can
is.
smell the pollen in the air.
I know. I'll probably take after I get back from my trip. I'm probably gonna be on my allergy Claritin when I get back.
Ugh. Oh, God.
So, yeah,
Excuse me.
the day we're recording this is Tuesday, March 25th. So, yes, spring has sprung.
Yep, the April showers will be arriving once people once this episode is up.
Yes. And
Probably do
hopefully you don't do anything stupid on April Fool's Day.
Yeah, stay safe. Don't do anything stupid.
Well, you know what? April Fool's Day is canceled because we have a joke running the country. There we go. Sorry, I didn't mean to get political there. I just...
Didn't mean to get political, but doesn't the president just fucking suck?
You know who
But-
doesn't suck? It's Stefon Diggs, Alex.
Yes, that's right. He just signed with the Patriots for 3 years. But, yeah, so he previously played in Buffalo, Minnesota, and Houston.
Mm-hmm.
He had his career resurgence in Buffalo. Most people know him from his year. He was actually the one that caught the touchdown in the Minneapolis Miracle game when he played for the Queens.
Right.
And then he had a career resurgence in Buffalo, rival of the Patriots. And then he just played in Houston last year.
And he was having a good year, right? But then he got hurt.
Yes. And Buffalo is doing better without him than they did with him, so that was also interesting.
Yeah, hopefully not with the Patriots, but
Hopefully not. But,
does he kind of run his mouth sometimes?
Yeah, so does his brother, who plays on the Cowgirls. But I'm excited for this. We have a wide receiver one for Drake May now, so we'll just.
Do you think they'll still draft one or no?
I think they could, yeah. So I'm not gonna fully judge the team until the draft happens, but this is the first year in a while I'm actually interested in going to training camp. So,
yeah. Maybe I'll fully join you this time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited for the Mike Vrabel era in New England.
Yeah, new coach. Any other significance? They've done signings, but It's been hard to keep track because they've done a lot of like 1-year contracts.
So they signed Milton Williams from Philadelphia to a contract where he's going to get paid more than Tom Brady ever did in his 20 years.
What position is he?
He's a defensive lineman.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
I just thought it was interesting because he's getting paid more than Tom Brady ever did.
I know, that's crazy. I remember you telling me that. I was crazy.
And yeah, like they signed like Carlton Davis from Detroit. I can't remember everyone that they signed because they did sign a lot of more people than I thought they would.
Mm-hmm.
But we just wouldn't have these guys if Bill Belichick was still there. I'm just gonna say that.
And also, too, you could only be the third lowest paying team for 30 years for so long.
That is true.
Because they had Tom Brady and Bill Belichick to protect them.
Exactly. And Tom Brady would take pay cuts, so people would go to the Patriots. So,
mm-hmm. Yeah, so they should be okay this year. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, me too. Hopefully, they don't disappoint.
Yeah, maybe they could eke into the playoffs.
I think they could. It's depending on if Buffalo doesn't win the division again. I think that's very possible.
Mm-hmm.
And we got the stupid Jets who got rid of Aaron Rodgers finally.
Where do you think he's going?
The retirement home. Because the Giants just signed Russell Wilson, so that's out. And he's not.
Maybe the Steelers?
Yeah, because he's not going the Brett Favre route and going to Minnesota. He's not doing that.
No.
He's
not going to the Cowgirls?
No, hell no. Jerry Jones would hate him. Or he'd hate Jerry Jones.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, he was just like a toxic diva on the Jets. Well, he was on the Packers too, but
yeah, he should just retire.
He won't though, because he always needs attention. I saw something the other day where it's like he's in no rush to decide. I'm like, can you just decide, please? I need to know what team I'm gonna hate next year.
And like you sent me that thing where he was just walking on a beach.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, really?
No one cares, Aaron. And what other major things? So the Russell Wilson, that happened today. Was there any other major free agent signings? I know there was a player that was going to be on the market, but then he was on the Bengals, right? And they kept him.
Yeah, T. Higgins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wanted the Patriots to get him, but then that didn't happen.
Yeah, then he just stayed.
Yep, and then the same thing happened with Chris Godwin from Tampa. He was about to sign with New England, and then Tampa snagged him up to keep him there. Not football, but the Celtics have a new, full owner or part owner?
Yeah, the Boston Celtics have a new full owner. Yep.
And it's not John Henry, thank fuck.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, his name is I just gotta look it up. He was actually not really well known. People said he didn't even have a wiki page.
Oh really?
Yeah. His name's Bill Chisholm. He I believe is a venture capitalist. I forget. Let me see. He bought the team for $6.1 billion. He is from Massachusetts. He was just recently discovered to be was in the running for it to be an owner. So Bill Chisholm is a managing partner and co-founder of Symphony Technology Group, which has a history of buying smaller software companies. He leads the firm activities and hands-on approach to day-to-day management of SEG companies. So yeah, that he does a lot of investing, and that's how he makes his money. He was born in Georgetown, Massachusetts, which I didn't even know that was a town, but he attended Dartmouth College in New Hampshire, and he played on the soccer team from 1988 to 1991.
Very cool.
Yeah, so he should be good. The original person that people thought was going to buy the team was Steve Paliuka, who was the co-owner with Wick Grosbeck's family. He was in that group, but they decided to not have him buy the team, and they chose Bill Chisholm instead. because I think he offered a little bit more money.
Oh yeah, that would make sense.
And so the Celtics owner, Wick Grousbeck's going to stay with the team for till 2028 as like an advisor or as governor of the team, probably to help out the new owner. And they said that the other owner, Paliuka, didn't want Wick to be around, so they said that probably is why he didn't end up buying the team. Yeah, because I mean, of all the Boston teams, this is probably the last one for a while that sells. Unless the
Yeah,
Red Sox sell eventually, but I don't see the Patriots or the Bruins selling their teams.
yeah, no, they're not going to, unfortunately. as
I
much
know.
as as much as I want the Red Sox to sell,
I
it's
know.
just
If anything, they'd be the next one to sell, I think, but it's probably going to be a little while longer before that happens.
an opening day is this weekend, so
It is,
hopefully.
yeah. I think 28 out of the 30 teams have their opening days on Thursday, so
And I think the Red Sox are one of them, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, they are. They have their home opener at Fenway Park. I believe it's the following Monday.
So not this coming Monday, but the Monday after that, you mean?
Oh, no, I think it is this Monday. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah, so it's this Monday against the St. Louis Cardinals, who we played a lot in the World Series.
I just. Oh yeah, we played them in 2004 and 13. You're right.
And in 1946 and in 1967.
Oh, see, I wouldn't know that because I wasn't around.
Yeah. I just know from the history. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's our sports take. Probably next time we'll talk about it'll be the draft, which will be coming up soon.
Yeah, April 24th. That comes around.
I think I told you this that one time I went on a school trip to New York City, the draft was going on.
That would have been 2014, I think.
It was 2013
Oh yeah, they had it in New York a couple times. You're right.
and 2013. Now it's like
Yeah,
the Super Bowl where they have it like a different place every year, right?
yeah. Now it is. This year it's in Green Bay.
It's an interesting choice.
Yeah, I don't think Gillette Stadium's ever gonna have it.
That's too bad.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they could, but
Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe
just
in Boston, maybe in the city of Boston. Maybe not
yeah,
necessarily at Gillette, but
yeah. Because I feel like teams host, so
mm-hmm. All right.
uh, yeah. So at the time this was recording, which again is Tuesday, March 25th. Yesterday, the
Damn,
office.
you're dating us. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yesterday, March 24th, The Office turned 20, which is a very popular show that was on NBC between 2005 and 2013.
That's what she said.
I've seen the show many times over the years.
It was your favorite show for a while.
It's still in my top 5, but
Right.
I've just seen other shows because I've come to realize that other shows besides The Office exist. But
You what? You discovered it on Netflix, right?
yes, same with Parks, and I think 30 Rock was on Netflix for a while.
Oh yeah, I think it was.
I just didn't watch it when it was on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
So in honor of that, I'm gonna go through my top 5 episodes of the show with some honorable mentions, which would have been 6 through 10, but I just didn't know where to put them.
If you want to name your 6 through 10, but talk about your top 5, you can do that, Alex.
Okay.
It's up to you.
So, yeah, no, I'm not going to talk about everyone, just like the top 5.
All right.
So, like, you probably know, like, what these episodes are and what they're about and all this
Right,
stuff.
because I watched them in 2020 during the pandemic, which I was going to do that anyway, but then the pandemic happened, so it was a good excuse. And a lot of people watched The Office during the first year of the pandemic, including Jennifer Garner, I believe.
And myself, 3 times, actually.
Wow.
Yes, I was bored, to say the least. And I was still doing 5 classes during that, so
Wow.
um
Damn, son, you need to calm down.
all right, so number 10, I got the season 4 finale, which is titled Goodbye Toby. Toby is moving to Costa Rica, and his replacement comes, played by Amy Ryan. And we all know that Michael Scott has a thing for her.
Yeah, she was almost too like Michael.
Yeah, definitely. So, would you say she wasn't your favorite one that he was with?
No, I'd say she was. Just I thought she was too similar to Michael. I didn't think it was realistic to real life.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Because, like,
But
he
I
was
know
with
it's
Jan.
right.
She's very.
But I know it's a fictional show. That I know he was with Pam's mom.
Oh, yeah. So, Matt, there's this arc where after Jim
Oh
and
gosh.
Pam get married,
Right?
Michael sleeps with Pam's mother,
Oh.
and after Jim and Pam come back from their honeymoon, Pam finds out, and it's just not pretty to say the least.
Did she almost quit, Alex?
She like threatens to beat him up. I don't think she threatened to quit,
All right.
but she just wanted him to stop dating her, basically.
Yeah.
So basically, this was a happy day for Michael because his arch nemesis Toby was leaving, but not forever. But
Somebody said one of my friends told me if I was an Office character, I would have been Toby.
wait, really?
Yeah.
Is that good or not?
Um,
I think kind of good.
but unless you're someone like Michael Scott, that's bad. Because Michael was,
I think because he's like nice and mild mannered, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, but no one roasts you like constantly like he does.
Yes.
So there was also something that says whenever someone that is manager, they hate Toby just as much as Michael. So anytime Amy Ryan was on the show, Toby was going to be gone for an extended period of time. Because when she came back in season 7, he was in jury duty, and then
Michael left with her.
Yep, I'm gonna get to that. This was a happy day for Michael because Toby was gone after all that. This was overall just a really good finale because Jim was also going to propose to Pam in that finale, but that didn't happen because of fucking Andy. Zach, you might remember this was around the time where Andy was with Angela.
Yes.
So that was kind of a weird relationship, I think.
Yeah, that was weird.
I don't know if he did that just to spite Dwight or what, but
Yeah, I don't know.
or one of them had to have done it to spite Dwight, but that was the only thing I didn't like about that episode. He ruined Jim's, special moments. But yeah, that was overall a good episode. Next is the Fun Run episode, which is the first episode from season 4.
Is this number 9?
Yeah.
Nice.
So this was the one where Michael hits Meredith with his car, and we find out that she has rabies. So they do like a rabies fun run. So like every time something bad happens to someone in the office, Michael just makes it 10 times worse. I think that's a fair way of putting it.
Yes.
Like he's always causing stress to Stanley and just everyone. But I think like you can't like describe that episode better than that.
True.
The next one is the injury from season 2. You might remember Michael clamped his foot onto a George Foreman grill.
R.I.P.
Yes, R.I.P.
Yes, rest in peace, George Foreman.
And so basically he, like, you know, like I just said.
I forget, what was his reasoning for having the George Foreman next to it? Because he wanted to smell
bacon
the food when he wakes
wanted,
up?
Yeah.
Why was it on the ground? Why couldn't he had it on the table? I forget. This is a while.
So first of all, that's a fire hazard, Michael.
Yep.
So
I wonder who's working without an OSHA license.
Well, no, this was in his house, but still.
Yeah, but you know, would hope that he would know.
Yeah, but leaving it on, but plugging it in and then leaving it on all night, like that's a fire hazard.
Exactly.
Why would it be plugged in all night?
Just so that he can wake up and then he puts the bacon on the fucking thing, and then it's ready when he wakes up.
So is the bacon cooking all night?
Oh God, you're right. So it would be burnt.
So it would be burnt. That's not even good. Is it on? Hold on. Are George Foreman's on a timer?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it might be a
but
timer.
Then it's also like you're leaving out
bacon
overnight. Is it thawing? Is it we're thinking about this way too much.
But anyway, So anyway, he accidentally steps on the thing and he acts like, you know, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to him. And he says, "Oh, I'm like disabled now." I'm like, dude, no, you're not. Like, there's a line where Stanley's like, "I'm not disabled, and neither are you." But anyway, he uses a, you know, thing of what are those things called? That you put in bubble wrap, you know, that you like put in FedEx boxes.
Oh yeah.
He puts his foot in that. So basically he's just being so anyway, he puts like bubble wrap that you put in a fucking package on his foot as a cast. But, you know, Dwight has a much more serious injury in that episode. Because he got a concussion going to pick up Michael at his house.
Yeah, what happened with that? I forget.
I think that episode ended when he was in like the MRI machine.
Oh yeah, I remember that ending. How'd he get the concussion?
He hit a pole in it, like he was driving to go get Michael and he like hit a pole.
Oh.
But that, remember, like in that ending, Michael was trying to put his foot in the MRI machine while Dwight was in there. I'm just like, dude, it's not like broken or anything. Just burnt because you're an idiot. So this next one, Zach, you and I actually watched this one together.
Mm-hmm.
it was the episode with the famous "Dwight, you ignorant slut."
Yes. Which
And
is a
this,
reference to a Saturday Night Live joke.
yeah, was it Dan Aykroyd that said that about Jane Curtin?
Yes. During Weekend Update. During their point counterpoint segment.
So this episode's from season 3. So safety training becomes necessary because of, I'm sure you can guess, Michael. Because Daryl, played by Craig Robinson, he fell off of a ladder because Michael said, "You want to guess? Hey, Daryl, how's it hanging?" And so pretty much everything that happens in these episodes is because of Michael.
You're a big Michael guy.
So I remember there was an Xfinity plot. It didn't say what episode it was, but it was Michael has an idea that creates a huge problem in the office, and they're like, you need to be more specific on what that is.
So what, they had to change it?
Yeah. But it's you need to be a little bit more specific than that, because he does that in almost every episode. So basically, he was trying to do his own version of the safety training seminar, and they had to listen to Toby. And I just remember he was trying to he was on the roof because he was trying to prove a point about, I can't remember what it was. It was something about suicide.
Yeah, which probably making light of suicide probably wasn't good back then.
You definitely couldn't do that now, but
No.
overall, that was just a really funny episode. There's a scene where he accidentally hit Stanley's car with a watermelon, and he wanted to get a lawyer to see if he handled hate crimes because Stanley's black. So, he's low-key racist. But
Matt, would you say that's a hate crime?
hitting a black person's car with a watermelon. Oh, okay, but to be fair though, he actually didn't know it was Stanley's car when he hit it.
Okay, then I feel that there's some reasonable doubt. Seems like oops, I did an unintentional racism there, so.
Because the very last scene in that episode, we find out Stanley's just standing at his car, in shock that it's covered in watermelon. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Not as bad as the bacon thing, but I just like that episode a lot.
That's a good one. Yeah, we did watch it together.
This next one, Zach, I don't know if you'll be surprised that it's in this list, maybe, but it's the series finale.
Yeah, no, that was a very good finale.
It was.
Yeah.
A lot of shows, they are great until the finale, and this was something where the last 2 seasons really weren't that great because Steve Carell wasn't there anymore. And this was the point in they had James Spader on for a season. I know you said you weren't that crazy about him.
No, did you like him?
I didn't love him, but I didn't hate him.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of him on the show.
I didn't
weird.
Because Matt, every time James Spader was on that, had a scene, he talked about sex.
All the time?
Yes, pretty much. like he would like always have a sexual metaphor for whatever he was talking about.
Okay.
Because
I don't know how
there
I
was
don't
an
know how I feel
episode
about that. It's like,
there was an episode where he asks Jim if he would prefer a nature metaphor or a sexual metaphor to something, and he turned it into a sexual metaphor anyway.
hmm,
But
And then Andy was the manager.
what a
yeah,
gooner.
yeah. Oh, that's what I liked about the finale. Dwight finally became manager because Andy quit
Yes.
to pursue acting.
Mhm.
Because that was like something Dwight always wanted. He always wanted to be the manager. I just liked how it had a happy ending for him.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, that was good.
and of course Steve Carell came back for the finale.
Yep.
But he did but I don't know if you knew this, but when they did the table read for that, they had Creed read all his lines, so they didn't know that it was going to be Steve Carell.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So a lot of shows have bad finales. I don't know what you guys think of that, but
What is it?
well, like there's shows like where they're great, but the finale it doesn't end that great. There's shows that do that, but The Office is not one of them.
Yeah, I
I
think that happens.
even though I don't like this show, there
I've
was
seen more. I've seen more good finales than not good finales.
yeah, same here.
Bruce, even though I
Even
don't like this show, which show are you talking about?
so yeah, even though I don't like How I Met Your Mother, they were saying that the show was great up until the finale.
Mhm.
That's what I mean.
Seinfeld, famously.
Oh, that finale was stupid.
Hmm.
It was though. Like, come on.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, no, The Office had a really good finale, and it's like about an hour long, so it's longer than most episodes.
Yeah.
Um, so this next episode is also another finale. It's the season 2 finale called Casino Nights,
Oh, that's one of my favorite episodes too.
where Jim, finally, confesses that he loves Pam, but she was with that, what was that guy's name? Roy. She was still with Roy at that time.
Hmm.
And they were gonna get married, I think. Yeah, they were supposed to get married. They were engaged, I think.
They were.
Yes. And she calls off the wedding after Jim goes to Stamford, Connecticut.
Hmm.
But they don't get married, and they don't get together until season 4
Hmm.
because Jim was with Rashida Jones for most of season 3, which she also went on to be in Greg Daniels' next show, Parks and Rec.
Yep, she did.
Um, you probably mentioned this, but I didn't know Quincy Jones was her father.
He sure is. Yeah, one of his many kids, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I know she's not his only one.
Hmm.
Um, but anyway, Casino Night is Michael has a casino night for charity in the Dunder Mifflin warehouse. And this episode has the famous "Why are you the way that you are?" to Toby. Um, So, like, the reason I love this episode so much is because of, like, the whole Jim and Pam plot.
Yes.
And Michael is torn between two lovers also.
Right in that episode.
Yeah, Jan and it was the character that was played by his wife.
Yes. Nancy Carell?
Yes. I forget her character. Oh, Carol.
Oh, Carol, that's right.
She was the lady that sold him his condo.
Oh, yeah.
But Jan was the one that I didn't think was right for him.
No.
Like, you could tell, like, she didn't like being with him. He didn't like being with her. It was this. So I'm glad, he didn't end up being with her.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I think at that time he ended up choosing the character played by his wife over Jan.
And then how did they break up?
Oh, so remember Matt, you'll like this. He photoshopped his head onto her ex-husband's body
I forgot about that.
on a ski trip. And he, like, mailed it to a bunch of people. And, she wasn't very happy about that.
He's nuts.
Like I said, every problem in the office is caused by him. For the most part. In the last 2 seasons, it was mostly Andy. But, world's best boss for a reason, I guess. So this next one is the Jim and Pam wedding episode from season 6. There's a part in this episode where they do, I think this was inspired by a real life YouTube video where they did the Chris Brown, Forever. That was what the song was called.
I remember that being a very popular video where they all go out dancing to Forever, yeah.
Yeah, no, so they do it in that episode. Like, their own version of it. But Pam had it on a don't playlist. No. So the reason I like this episode so much is because, we see the couple we wanted to finally see get together. The pilot get married. It was a good season for them too because they also had their first kid in that, and which they had to put a fat suit on Jenna Fisher for that one, but when she was pregnant in season 8, she was actually pregnant. So this was the episode I was talking about where Michael sleeps with Pam's mother.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, but he doesn't know about it till after the honeymoon. So, yeah. So this next episode is considered the finale to a lot of people, which I think is dumb. I'm sure you can guess what it is. It's the last episode with Steve Carell titled "Goodbye, Michael."
Some people think that they consider that the finale.
Yeah, because they were, like, there's people that refuse to watch the show after he leaves. I'm not one of those people. I still watch it.
Besides the finale, series finale. Do you have any episodes from season 8 or 9 in your top 10?
I don't.
Mm-hmm.
But there were still some good episodes in there. Like there was the garden party. There was
The Bus.
the work bus.
Was the
There there was
Gettysburg, or was that the same as the bus episode?
no, that was two separate episodes. Yeah, there was
Yeah.
Gettysburg. Oh, there was a funny thing where Jim tricks Dwight into thinking Jim is Asian.
Yes.
That's in the post Michael Scott era.
Mhm.
So that when I say this to people, that's just watch the show when he's not on it. It's it might not be as good, but it's still good.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was a really well done episode. Oh, this was also the arc that Will Ferrell was in. Will
Of
Ferrell's
course.
not Will Ferrell's not the reason this is in the top 10,
I'm sure it isn't. Wink, wink.
But it's weird. I wasn't that crazy about Will Ferrell's character when he was on the show.
I wasn't either.
But I think it was always meant for him to be there temporarily. So
Mhm.
I feel like they were trying to make him too much like Michael Scott. And then they did that with Andy too. But yeah, this is a really good episode, and not the series finale, people. Come on. So the next one I want to talk about, Zach, we also watched this one.
Mhm.
We're getting to number 2, by the way.
Number 2.
The dinner party.
Yes, a classic.
This episode was just so chaotic and like the weirdest way possible, but it's one of the best episodes for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where, Michael finally ends things with Jan because he realizes how nuts she is. And I feel like if this were to like cap this, I feel like there's dinner parties like this in real life where it's just so like crazy and embarrassing that you know
And
what I mean?
awkward, intense.
Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely awkward. Like we find out like Michael doesn't even sleep in a bed.
It's just weird.
He sleeps on a bench in front of the bed like a dog.
It's messed up.
And she's like pretty controlling and all this stuff and
Mm-hmm. That TV.
yeah, yeah, that TV.
And then that's a meme with her like looking, and it's the TV.
And that episode has a very famous "That's what she said."
Mm-hmm.
But you're hardly my first. Yeah, because we found out like she makes like candles and they like smelled horrible or something.
Yeah, and that the TV was like the only thing he got to say in the house.
And it was his house. It was in his name.
Oh yeah, it's his house, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah, and like he broke the sliding. What was it? He broke the sliding glass door.
Yeah, and then he got mad when she brought that up.
Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, that was just a crazy episode in general.
Yeah.
So even though Dwight is the only character to appear in all 192 episodes of The Office, this is one where he wasn't in it significantly, but
Mm-hmm.
he was still there. Oh, when I say that, Dwight's the only one that have lines in every episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's episodes where Jim's like barely in it and doesn't get any. Like, because there's only one episode where Jim's not physically there. There's a few where Pam's not physically there. But this was this is one of the, so the reason this isn't number one is because of the episode with the fake fire drill called Stress Relief.
Yeah, that's my sister's favorite episode.
So Michael almost kills Stanley. Oh wait, no, not Michael. Yeah, so this is actually one of the rare instances where something horrible happens in the office, not because of Michael, but because of Dwight. Because of Dwight's fire drill, Stanley has a heart attack. And, and then Michael just makes it worse. Even though this was Dwight's fault.
And then this was a post-Super Bowl episode, right?
Yes, it was.
So a lot of people watched it.
And Jack Black was in it in a fake movie, but he was still in it. Yeah, a lot of people watched this one, yes. So originally what happened was the Parks and Rec pilot was going to be the post-Super Bowl episode that year. But Amy Poehler was pregnant, so they couldn't, they didn't want to film her while she was pregnant. So, because, they would have had to write that in the show somehow.
Right.
With man she's no longer with. So, but we all know who she was married to. Job from Arrested Development. I don't know her name. Yeah, that was a funny. So yeah, those are my favorite episodes of The Office.
Nice.
I bet it was really hard to pick since you are an Office super fan. I mean, I think you knew like what you kind of wanted for the list, but I feel like it's pretty hard.
Yeah, no, it is because there's 192 episodes, so.
And then Alex, isn't there like mini web episodes? Did you ever see those?
I saw like a couple of them, yeah.
Where it's like it's the accountants, right?
Yeah, and they did one with like Mindy Kaling and Ellie Kemper, and
Let's say I never saw any of those.
Oh, I never brought up.
That's a good list.
Yeah. Oh, and this episode also had the Michael Scott roast and the Boom roasted. All right, who wants to go next?
Why don't you go, Matt?
Okay.
If you're ready.
Mine. Okay, so mine requires me you listening to something first. So I don't know if you know of this one. So this is a music video that came out 12. No. How long ago was 2012?
13.
13 years ago.
13 years ago. So just listen to like the first 30 seconds of this, all right?
All right.
It's from the artist named Nessa, and the music video the song is titled Wilder. I want your reaction.
Of course it's not working. Hold on.
You gotta go to the browser. You gotta go to the browser first, and then because it won't let you do it.
Oh wait, no, never mind. I got it. That's an interesting one to say the least.
Yeah.
So yeah, what would you think?
a bunch
a
of
very,
like,
a very long intro.
yes, definitely.
Usually that's like the la la la's. Usually that's either in the chorus or like the end of a song.
Not at the beginning. Yes, you're right.
Oh, and what did you think of her singing?
I only caught it like 2 seconds of it because you said 30 seconds.
I thought her singing was.
Oh, damn. Okay, continue listening then. First,
Yeah, you continue
continue listening
listening,
from
Alex,
there.
and I'll give my thought.
I don't know. It's kind of weird, bassy.
Yeah, and she's a bit tone deaf,
Yeah, I'll
maybe.
say I didn't think her. I
Absolutely.
didn't think her singing was. I thought it was subpar.
All right, but if you scroll down into the comments, you will see sort of probably memed, but they're all like kind of like okay. So the top comment I see is this song helped me finally kick my heroin addiction.
Oh my god!
Another one that says, "If I had my own country, this would be the national anthem."
Holy shit.
One
I've
is
got
I've been
this.
searching for a quality song for my wedding, and I found it.
Yeah, I've got this for a morning alarm. I always get up. I was losing faith in the music industry for the longest time, but this is pure gold. And so this was shared by some friends of mine in a different chat. Um, I remember we had listened to it a while back, and then kind of like, you know, it was like a let's get wilder. Take me higher, let's get wilder. It was kind of like a little inside joke a bit, but thinking about it, it reminded me of a sort of musical genre or a sort of musical yeah, genre, I guess would kind of be that I've been interested in for years, and that is the genre of outsider music. Do you know what that is?
I do not.
All right,
I
so
do not. Yeah.
outsider music is defined as sort of either part of naive art because most of the people that make it are, like have little to no musical experience, um, or self-taught, or they're outsider, being their music is outside of the mainstream, what you'd hear on radio all the time. So now this came to my attention because I came across a book called Songs in the Key of Z: The Curious Universe of Outsider Music. And the person who wrote that was a journalist called Erwin uh, Cusid. Cusid. He was like a radio DJ, and he was the one who kind of came up with the term outsider music, or outsider art as a sort of genre when he wrote a article about it uh, for Tower Records.
Mhm.
So he put together this book, and he put together a compilation that also went together with the book of a bunch of songs and artists. And today I will talk to you about those musicians and those artists, or at least a couple who are either considered part of the outsider music genre. So, the first one I'll talk about now, back in 2016, there was a music biopic that got at least one or maybe two Oscar nominations. Do you remember which one I'm talking about?
What year was 2016? Okay. And what category was this?
I know it was nominated an actress.
So this would be for 2016 movies, but nominated in 2017.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Um. Okay, so I don't think it was Emma Stone.
No, it was not.
Was it Mary J. Blige?
Was it? No, not Meryl Streep.
No, it was Meryl Streep.
Oh, it was.
And what was the movie she was nominated for?
Oh, was it? Oh, God, that woman. It was Florence Foster Jenkins, right?
Yes. Florence Foster Jenkins was a real person.
Oh yeah. Didn't they say like she was like one
She
of
was
the worst artists or whatever?
Yes, so she was a socialite in the early part of the last century in New York, and she was a socialite. She played the piano, but her skills at the piano apparently did not translate to skills with the voice. She's considered one of the worst opera singers of all time. And don't worry, I will send you some links
Okay.
to all of the people that I talk about today. So she would mostly sing um opera, kind of Mozart, Strauss, the likes. Um, and she just became a sort of cult figure in New York City for performing, and people would she would have like fans of hers because they went to see her because of how bad she apparently was. Of But eventually this came to head where she eventually got booked at Carnegie Hall, where she was kind of uh, lambasted, and critics kind of went after her. Um, and she was really exposed to. I mean, she knew that people kind of derided her because of her voice, but this was the time where it was like really on full blast for her. 5 days after the concert, she had a heart attack and died.
That's awful.
Spoilers for Florence Foster Jenkins, the movie, I guess. I don't know how one to one it is to real life, but yeah. So she's kind of like a proto outsider musician, and you'll start to see a lot of the archetypes with outsider musicians. A lot of them overlap with the genre known as lo-fi or low fidelity music, which is usually like lo-fi music is more or less like do it yourself kind of music. It's like it was put together myself with what I had, home recordings, and things of that nature. So very kind of independent. That does translate with a lot of popular musicians. Paul McCartney's first solo album is kind of like a lo-fi kind of album, I would say. Um, so outsider music is kind of in a similar vein to that, if I were to say it. But you'll also see like these people are very inexperienced. Um, some of them are not musicians at all. They were just people who recorded themselves. They did a song. That's being a musician is not really their main profession, or so to say. There's a lot of quote childlike qualities in their music, and you'll notice like quite a few of them overlap with some sort of mental illnesses or some sort of disabilities uh, intellectually.
I feel bad though if it's like with disabilities, like people making fun of them. That's
Oh,
not
it's not people
cool.
making fun of them. They're people. These people do have some legitimate fans. I'll
Oh,
showcase a
that's
lot of
good.
people that actually have like legitimate fans for
Oh,
their
that's good
stuff.
then.
So there is like a sort of convergence between the people who do love this, like, ironically, in a way, and people that
Mhm.
do love this unironically and are fans of it and are very interested in it. So we'll start with that. So the first person I'm going to talk about is Jack Madurian. Um, he's actually a Boston local.
Hey,
So
Boston. From
Madurian
Boston.
Madurian was a resident of a nursing home in Boston. And in the 80s, there was a guy who edited a magazine, or a zine, as they called The
Hmm.
Duplex Planet, which was a magazine where it interviewed all the people that lived at the nursing home, which was called the Duplex Nursing Home. I tried to find where it was, but I couldn't find out if they still operated or where it was located, possibly Jamaica Plain, but I'm not 100% sure. But besides the point. So this guy who operated the Zine, David Greenberg, came across Jack Madurian during a talent show at the nursing home, and he liked singing like stuff like Frank Sinatra, and he also remembered like a lot of Tin Pan Alley songs. So Greenberg had a tape recorder, and he asked Madurian to sing whatever songs that he had, and they recorded Jack Madurian for 47 minutes for him to play almost 130 songs, just singing 130 Tin Pan Alley songs.
Wow.
Eventually, that recording was released in the 90s under the title Downloading the Repertoire. So, um,
Hmm.
a shortened version is on that compilation, Songs in the Key of Z, that I mentioned before. So, it is just him just singing, like one after another, like just coming out of his mind, stream of consciousness kind of stuff, just one after another, just what everything he remembered. It's actually very impressive.
Mm.
Hmm.
So, well, that's Jack. Next one we'll talk about. We're going all the way to London, uh, with the producer named Joe Meek. Joe Meek was a sound engineer and is probably one of the most influential uh, music producers of the early 60s.
Hmm.
He produced like a couple of um, British artists at the time, the Honeycombs, John Layton, and people like that. But he produced the instrumental Telstar for the band the Tornadoes, which became a hit, a number one hit song, both in the UK and in the US. It's just an instrumental, but if you heard it, you'd probably know it. It's one of those big popular songs from the early '60s that became like a big hit. Um, so eventually, Meek would start producing some sort of avant-garde, more experimental stuff with the popularity of the song Telstar, some space age stuff. He did a project with a band called I Hear a New World with a band called the Blue Men, not to be confused with the Blue Men music group.
The Blue
But
Man Group, yeah.
it's basically music related to like being in outer space and stuff like that. There was an EP that came out around the same time, and eventually in the 90s, all of the music was reissued on CD. So eventually you would hear this sort of outer worldly stuff. So
It's like almost like more like advanced like David Bowie. Like David Bowie, some of his songs you feel like you're in space.
yeah, but he was a big producer, and he came out around the time where it was even before like um, God, what was the name of the producer who did all the Brill Building pop? You know, the guy, the murderer. I know his name.
Oh my god, what's his name? He just died, right?
He died a couple of years ago in prison.
Phil Spector.
Phil Spector, yeah. So he was a big producer even before Phil Spector was a really big producer, producing
Mhm.
"Be My Baby" and all that.
Yeah.
Eventually, things started to take a toll for Joe Meek. He thought Phil Spector was uh, spying on him and trying to steal his ideas. Turned out Meek was bipolar and had schizophrenia. Um, and would eventually would lose his success and um, went into debt. He eventually went into depression, which didn't help because at around this time in the mid 60s, him being a homosexual, his lifestyle was actually illegal at the time.
Hmm.
And what happened next is wild. Um, Basically, on February in 1967, he shot and killed his landlady, Violet Shetton, and then shot himself in a weird murder suicide.
Hmm.
Let's say he was like Phil Spector in a way, I guess.
Well, in one way, but he wouldn't know the the reason, of course. But
No, obviously different circumstances.
yeah, but anyway, I recommend taking a listen to the song Telstar, as well as maybe listening to some of his more space age stuff. Is more
Mm.
where he experimented with electronic sounds. So the next one, you remember the Academy Award Best Picture winner Coda?
Yeah.
Yes.
You remember the scene where she's playing music really loud in her bedroom?
Yeah, I think so.
You remember the song that she was playing?
I don't.
Yeah, it's been a few years since I saw it, so I
Well,
don't
I
remember.
do. She was playing the song, I believe it was My Pal Foot Foot. And that actually came from the album Philosophy of the World by the next artist that I'll talk about, The Shags. Now, The Shags were a band, an all female band of sisters. They included Dot Wiggin, Betty Wiggin, and Helen Wiggin. And they were known for just the weirdest rhythms. They were not in sync at all. And it was mostly because these three women were not musicians. So
What were they, Matt?
they were formed at the insistence of their father, Austin Wiggin, whose whose mother, so their grandmother, said that they would become famous, basically. And so he made them practice every day. Um, Even though they were not proficient at musical instruments at all. Uh, like the guitars are not in tune, the singing is out of whack, the drumming is so erratic, the timing makes no sense. It's so bizarre. These time signatures all everywhere, but yet that's the thing. That's the kind of nature that gave it its like cult following over the years. So they only had one album called Philosophy of the World. So the Shags are actually from New Hampshire, so New England, and their debut album Philosophy of the World was recorded in Revere.
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 Gonna visit Kelly's roast beef in Revere.
Yeah, they had recording engineers at Fleetwood Studios, which was in Revere. Um, I know there was one employee called Charlie Dreyer who tried to hire session musicians in Jamaica Plain, but they were like, "Dog, we can't do this. This is so all over the place. We can't follow this at all." So the father of the group paid for 1,000 copies of the album.
Wow.
And by most accounts, this guy, Charlie Dreyer, delivered 100 copies of the album and then disappeared with the remaining 900. Took the father's money and took the albums and ran.
Hmm. That's cool.
Yeah. But anyway, eventually the album kind of circulated around in the 70s and would eventually got a cult following. Um, it's a favorite of grunge artist and Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain, who named it one of his favorite albums.
Wow, that's cool.
Even though Rolling Stone said that it might as well stand as one of the worst albums ever recorded. Um, even though the Shags disbanded in the 70s, although the sisters would uh, come together every now and then, like in the 90s or in the 2010s. They kind of reunited together and performed occasionally. So there we go, and that's the band that who was it? Was it Lester Bangs said was better than the Beatles?
Wow. Okay then.
And one that Frank Zappa held in high regard.
Hmm.
Frank Zappa, some of his music sometimes is deemed the worst of all time.
Oh, I'll let me talk about a friend of Frank Zappa's since I mentioned him.
Mm-hmm.
So this musician is Don Van Fleet. He is a multi-instrumentalist who mostly went by the name Captain Beefheart.
I've heard of Captain Beefheart.
You probably heard of it from me.
Probably.
Yes. So he avant rock, mostly inspired by blues, which is what he listened to growing up in Southern California. Um, he put together a group called the Magic Band. So it was Captain Beefheart and the Magic Band, or his Magic Band, and their debut album was Safe as Milk, which is a pretty good sort of uh, R&B blues inspired rock album. The thing that's very distinct is his vocal performance. Um, but so once I show you once you listen to the song of his that I'll pick, you'll know why. But the thing that's of interest is his third album, Trout Mask Replica, which is proto garage rock, avant-garde, free jazz, experimental rock kind of thing. It was produced by Frank Zappa. Um, it's 78 minutes, so it's a double album. It is all over the place. A lot like all the songs were written in an 8-hour session, and the uh I don't know. It comes together and it's just a wild listen. Um, there's the song "Moonlight on Vermont," which is my favorite song on the album. Then you have songs like "Neon Meat Dream of an Octofish" or
What?
or or "Hair Pie."
Ew.
There's Dachau Blues or
Dachau?
yes,
Is that what I think it is?
yes. And there's Ant
The
Man B.
Holocaust? And what was the last one you said?
Ant Man B. Ant Man B. Would you be
Good God.
surprised if I said that Trout Mask Replica is actually one of my favorite albums?
I mean, sure, if you want us to be.
I actually do own it on vinyl because they took it off of Spotify. I'm so fucking mad. But this was a very big album that influenced a lot of experimental rock in the late '70s and into the '80s. It is a favorite of everyone from music critic Robert Christgau, who says he gave it a decent rating and says it's so weird I can't give it a higher grading, but it's very great played at the high volume when you want to feel shitty because you'll never feel as shitty as this record.
Holy shit.
Very funny. Rolling Stone uh, put it in one of their 500 greatest albums list. That's how I know about this album.
Wow.
Oh, and it was a favorite. It was the favorite album of one of my favorite filmmakers, the late David Lynch,
Yes.
which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to a next one. Now, do you remember the documentary about eating McDonald's?
Super
Supersize
side.
me?
Yes.
Yes.
There's a song that's in Supersize Me that was made by this next artist. The song was Rock and Roll McDonald's. And if you remember, then you'll know who our next musician is. It's Wesley Willis.
All right, tell us about Wesley Willis.
Wesley Willis was a musician out of Chicago. And he's probably best known for his music, which is he did all himself. They all have absurd lyrics that he sings over them, either in a very shouting, high pitched out of tune voice, or like in a very sort of partially spoken uh, word performance, all over a like a keyboard MIDI.
Hmm.
Yeah, his stuff would be about a wide range of topics, like mental health, uh, about consumerism, or McDonald's, which is the place to rock.
Yes, it is.
He got a large cult following in the 90s, especially after the release of the album Wesley Willis Greatest Hits,
Hmm.
which featured songs like I whooped Batman's ass.
Holy shit.
So there's that. We'll go over the next one, and you might know about this musician from SpongeBob or from horror movie trailers. It's
David
the
Bowie.
musician, huh?
Not David Bowie, right?
No, not
Tiny
Dave,
Tim.
not David Bowie. Yes, Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim is as a musician who grew up in New York. The He was very passionate of music at a young age. You know, the sort of like old um, Tin Pan Alley kind of music. But he was very much known for his very um, high falsetto that he would usually have. So his debut album is "God Bless Tiny Tim," which had the song "Tiptoe Through the Tulips with Me,"
It's an interesting name.
as well as "Living in the Sunlight, Loving in the Moonlight,"
I
which
think
I
I've
think
heard of that one.
if you remember the first episode of SpongeBob SquarePants, it's in there. That's the song.
Oh, I think
Um,
there's that compilation where he makes all the Krabby Patties.
exactly. So, and also, he was a ukulele player. So he was very unique when he came out in the late 60s.
Hmm.
Yeah, it says his genres: Americana and outsider music.
Yeah, he's a very interesting person, so to say. Um, you could probably talk. I believe there might be like a video about him on YouTube. That's very interesting. So, and there's a lot of things we could talk about on here, but I feel like I've already said my piece on him. So I'll put in the or Alex can put in the description a link to a video about Tiny Tim and his life.
All right.
Next is a musician whose genre is country psychedelic. It's the musician Peter Grudzian.
I've also remember you mentioning him before.
Yes, so he grew up listening to classical, but then eventually started listening to stuff like Hank Williams and all that and became a country musician. So in the mid 70s, he came out with his first album called The Unicorn, which only got not 50, 500 copies made. So the interesting thing about Peter Grudzian is he is not just the first country psychedelic singer songwriter musician. He was the first American gay country psychedelic singer songwriter musician. And that's true in the song. Where his cover of "There's a Star Spangled Banner Wearing Somewhere," which was turned into not just a patriotic song, but a gay American patriotic song. Which is very interesting.
Interesting.
Yes. Although he might be bisexual because he did later marry a woman. I know that. Like later in life.
Later in life, yeah.
Yeah. So, oh, Next one I'm going to talk about, probably the biggest name in outsider music, and that is Daniel Johnson.
Daniel Johnson. He's the
Daniel
most
John
famous person on your
prob-
list.
Probably the most famous outsider musician or example of outsider musician. He's definitely not, I wouldn't say he's the most famous person, but he is definitely the most well known in this sort of genre. Um, so Johnson is most of his work is lo-fi, as I mentioned, and he um, began recording music in the late 70s on a boombox where he'd play piano and he would sing himself. And most of his stuff is very sort of childlike in nature. He was diagnosed early on with bipolar disorder and would just kind of spend most of his time in the 70s, 80s, and 90s just making these sort of albums on cassette. And he would, give them out to people all the time. And, he would also like give out these cassettes and then make the same album again and give out the cassette and stuff like that, which is kind of cool in a way. So he kind of had his whole thing making all of these albums. One of the most well known being the album Hi, How Are You? The unfinished album, um, which has probably one of his best known songs, Walking the Cow.
Hmm.
Yeah, and he would eventually continue making music and doing stuff all the way to his passing in 2019. He's also the subject of a documentary called "The Devil and Daniel Johnson."
It says this cult status was propelled when Nirvana's Kurt Cobain was seen wearing a T-shirt that featured the art piece Jeremiah the Innocent from Johnson's 1983 cassette album Hi, How Are You?
True. Yes. That is definitely like how a lot of people know him. So
I say Kurt Cobain again with the Kurt Cobain was into some lo-fi outsider music, I think.
yes, he was. Now, if I were to talk about who I would say is the more famous outsider musician I'll talk about uh, tonight, that would probably be Sid Barrett, in my opinion. You know Sid Barrett?
The name sounds a little familiar.
Do you know of a band named Pink Floyd?
Yes.
So he was the front man and the co-founder of Pink Floyd, or the Pink Floyd,
Hmm.
before they dropped the and just Pink Floyd. But this was back in the late 60s, back when they were doing more psychedelic music. So he is the writer of most of the songs on the Pink Floyd's debut album, The Piper of the Gates of Dawn. And he was also there for a portion of the recording of their second album, A Saucer Full of Secrets. But eventually, um, because of his erratic behavior and health problems stemming from the use of LSD, um, and how he became like very hard to work with at some points. Um, the rest of the bands kind of just stopped picking him up at some point, and eventually they kind of told him they no longer wanted him in the band because okay, he would actually do this thing he had where he once had a song called "Have You Got It Yet," and he would present it to the band, and it soon became impossible for them to learn it because every time they would try to do the song, he would change the arrangement as they were playing as a
that's
joke.
annoying. Yeah, but that'd be annoying.
That would be annoying.
So he kind of left the band, and this was right around the time when they brought in David Gilmour. But eventually Sid Barrett went and struck his own and went solo. He has 2 solo albums, one called The Madcap Laughs and the other one called just Barrett, which are 2 really interesting examples of psychedelic folk and experimental rock and things of that nature. So really the main thing that you can tell with a Sid Barrett song is kind of the sort of lyrical stream of consciousness of his music. Um, but eventually he would only do those 2 songs and would leave the music industry entirely. Of course, later Pink Floyd would pay homage to him in the album "Wish You Were Here" with the song "Shine On, You Crazy Diamond." Um, but yeah, he wouldn't be in the limelight of rock music for a while there until he was technically officially inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Pink Floyd back in the mid '90s.
That's cool.
So,
Yeah.
okay. So next guy, legendary Stardust Cowboy, the pioneer of the genre known as psychobilly. So it's like rockabilly and punk. So his real name was Norman Carl Odom. He's from Lubbock, Texas. Um, hold on, wasn't there another famous musician from Lubbock, Texas? Oh yeah, Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly.
Huh.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Uh, but okay. His stuff is crazy. So there's a song called "Paralyzed." Um, it's screaming, unintelligible, like with frantic music, the most crazy drums you'd possibly ever hear. There's a bugle. It's crazy. I love the song. I have it on vinyl too. But when you hear this song, it's something. It's something.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it actually. So you mentioned David Bowie earlier.
Yeah.
So he was a fan of the songs that were put out by the legendary Stardust Cowboy, and it was an influence on the name of the David Bowie's persona, the character of Ziggy Stardust.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah.
Fun fact. So without the legendary Stardust Cowboy, we probably wouldn't have gotten David Bowie's career, or at least some of it.
True.
Well, we wouldn't have had like his sort of like personas and arcs and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
next we go to Sterling Smith, otherwise known as John Deck. And the thing about John Deck is his was kind of atonal kind of blues. So very lo-fi, so he produced it all himself. Uh, there really isn't anything about him. He doesn't really give too many interviews. All I know about is that he's from Texas and he's 79. Um, he produced his first album, Ready for the House, but he did it as a solo under the name The Units. But eventually he had to change that because there was a California band, a California electropunk band that was also called The Units. So he had to change it to John Deck. He's made like 120 albums.
So a lot, yeah.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah.
So he's a very prolific musician, but very mysterious in a way.
Mysterious.
Yes. Next one I'll talk about.
Oh, just curious, how many more do you have left so Zack can do his thing?
We can move
Oh.
my thing. It's all right.
Oh yeah, no problem. I'll go through these ones quick, so don't worry about that.
We don't have to do my
Okay.
thing tonight. It's up to you guys.
Moondog. So Lewis Thomas Harden went by the name Moondog. He's a self-taught composer from Kansas. But at the age of 16, he after a accidental explosive detonation, he became blinded and was blind for the most of his life. He moved to New York, where he would hang around with a lot of classical musicians like Leonard Bernstein, jazz performers like Charlie Parker and Benny Goodman. But he would most of the time hang out on 52nd Street, wearing Viking garb. And that's where he would be from the 1940s all the way to the early 70s. Everyone would talk about this guy who would just walk around like 53rd Street just dressed as a Viking. What people didn't know was that he was a classically trained musician who even created his own instruments, like the trimba, which was a more percussive instrument. Uh, Eventually, he would, because of his passion for Nordic culture, he would move to Germany in the mid 70s, and that's where he would live for the rest of his life. But he does have several albums, and I'll play you one song from his second self-titled album, Moondog, from 1969. Briefly talk about B.J. Snowden, who is a musician, but she was originally a teacher, Zach.
Hey, nice.
So according to Wikipedia, it says that her ancestors were the first black family to purchase land in Billerica. So she's also from Massachusetts.
Nice.
So she's actually a teacher of music, but she is best known for performing outsider music, which was originally a label that she wasn't fond of, but has grown to appreciate much later. So she was best known for uh, her song about Canada. It's very funny. And there's just a lot of people like Louie, who has a song called "The Touchy." There's Shuby Taylor, who was a jazz vocalist known for scatting in a specific way.
Hmm.
There's Wildman Fisher, who spent most of his life like homeless or institutionalized.
Hmm.
But one of my favorites, and someone who I think should be in the sort of echelon of outsider musician, is Mark Gormley, who was a self-made singer-songwriter from Pensacola, who did music and published music videos, mostly filmed on green screen, for the public access show The Uncharted Zone, with Phil Thomas Cat producing his videos on the said green screen. And he put out the music video, the fantastic music video, Without You, which I remember seeing on The Smoking Gun Presents World's Dumbest, where a bunch of video clips are shown amid commentary from D-grade celebrities.
Right.
But I really like the song and the music video, and as well as Mark Gormley's power stance.
Nice.
Yeah, so I read the Wikipedia today, and unfortunately, I realized that he had passed away last year in May at the age of
Oh, R.I.P.
67. So this segment goes out to you, and this is just a little bit about the weird and strange world of outsider musicians, and it really shows you the sort of independent spirit, and just how, even if you're not good at it, if you keep trying, and even if you don't get better at it, there'll still be an audience for you, especially if you make a name for yourself, if you just be who you are and you do what you love to do, you'll make a name for yourself. Is it going to be ironic? Is it going to be unironic? Who really knows? But maybe one day you'll make something of yourself. So I made it a little inspirational there at the end.
Hey, there you go.
So there we go. I hope I didn't take up too much of the time that we've got here.
Oh, that's all
Um,
right.
No, you're
oh,
good. Do you guys want me to save my topic for next time?
Because it kind of interlaps with roasting Warner Brothers that I was going to do in the
Okay.
next episode. But if you want to do it, you can.
No, we can wait. Especially, I'll probably see the Snow White movie before the next pod. So
All right.
so
Yeah.
do you want to say just a specific thing, or do you want to just briefly chat about something?
no, I kind of talked a lot. I talked a bit in the football segment. So
Yeah.
all I'll say is now that the weather's getting better, hope people enjoy the weather. There's some spring movies coming out. I don't know if we'll do a full spring movie preview.
Probably not. That's more
Probably
This is
not.
for
We could do
because there's not
summer.
a ton of significant things, but we'll probably do a summer
Mm.
one. Yeah, no, I have nothing to really add. Nothing big in the news world in regards to movies. Um, so yeah, we'll say the football thing was kind of the beginning, or the sports thing was kind of my topic, I guess.
Yeah, there we
Oh,
go.
I'm so sorry I took up so much time.
No,
I
Well,
you're
didn't
I
good.
took
realize it.
well, I took up a lot of time with my thing too.
I'll start
So
off the first. I'll start off the first next episode.
All
all right,
right,
there
so
we
you've
go.
got a little teaser here. Something about Snow White. What could it
Something about
be?
Snow
There you go,
White
That
Monty.
Disney
is
remake.
no wait, no, I gotta sound like a conservative. That it's wow.
It's wow.
Yes, I'll be talking about that next time. So yeah, Yeah, no, you guys are good. I liked your topics. I
Nice.
contributed when I could.
All right, so do we say bye?
Yes. Goodbye.
Goodbye. See you next time.
You're watching The Uncharted Zone, the most important music television show along the Gulf Coast.